Gentlemen, we're here today to talk about a jb2000. I got mixed feelings about these things. They work okay. If you have one that's got the original drive tube in it, which this one does not, they're a low drive amplifier. This one here, no drive tube. It does have a kind of cobbled together aftermarket SB220 filter bank attached to it that wasn't secured down. I just simply took some zip ties and threw it on the inside, because it's like I was telling the customer, if we don't mount this down, it could kill you, right? I have to call that guy back. Sorry, the phone was ringing. This thing will kill you deader than hell. So before I started playing with it, I drilled a couple holes in the bottom of it, and I hooked up the cap bank, as in like zip tied it in place. The only reason this is here is this gentleman said that this amp was working great, and then he changed the relay because the relay quit working on him, or the relay burned up, or the contacts burned off on the relay, and we changed the relay out. It won't key up anymore. And he tried all kinds of different stuff, and he said he could not get it going. I finally said, okay, send it up. So it's here. We're going to plug this thing in. Hopefully it turns on okay. We'll find out. If the smoke comes flying out of it, then we know. But hopefully when we come back, it'll be plugged in. There are no tubes in it. I had to disconnect the fan that he had. He's got two fans cobbled on the back and one on the side. We'll eventually get there, because he wants me to check the tubes too. I was like, well, if you had it running, you don't need to send the tubes up, because we know the tubes are good because you had it run. Whatever. He went ahead and he sent the tubes. He's got another little solid state box he wants me to look at. We'll come to that towards the tail end of this conversation. First things first though, let's figure out why the thing won't key up. Let's start there. Well, it's one of the scarier things I've had happen in a while. We'll leave this in the off position. Just wait. Just wait. So we got high voltage. Power off. So the on-off switch does not do shit. That's scary. So we have to turn it on and off by the resettable breaker in the back of the amp. So we'll leave that in the on position. Well, actually, let's turn this off. First thing I noticed was that the keying transistor, when I pulled this thing out of the case, let's let this bleed down to less than 1,000 volts. There we go. I pulled it out of the case. I couldn't help but notice the keying transistor that's in here. That's this little guy right here, was turned so that the legs were shorted out. That might be it. I doubt it. So we'll grab the bench 2950. Sideband, I'm on sideband. Grab the bench 2950 and we'll put 1 watt in it. Now there's no tubes in this amp, so we're just mucking around with the keying circuit. So we'll turn on the switch. God, this thing, there it goes. Okay. So we have to ask ourselves, where is it pulling the signal to energize the keying circuit? Well, let's see, that goes to ground. That's our bypass. That is our input. RF comes in, goes down to that. There's the 2 leads that come from over here off of this. But how does the signal come in? Interesting. Give me a second to look at this, because obviously it's not keying up, but there's no way for the signal to get from there to here. So I believe there's something wrong with the relay. Either this is a 110 volt relay or something, but we've got more than appropriate voltage. So what I've got done here is I've got the voltmeter hooked up to the relay itself. Coax antenna, right? So this radio antenna. There's something wrong at the relay itself because the key-in circuit's working just fine, and it's got 17 volts worth of schnit on it. So that means we could technically get away with using a 24 volt, but I'll probably put a 12 volt relay in there. I think he might have ordered the wrong relay. Here, let's turn the amplifier off. Yeah, let's put this back over on plate volts. All right, let this bleed down to nothing. We'll ground everything out. We'll flip this around, and I'm going to change the relay inside of here. I've always admired this input circuitry. Its simplicity and its essence. Okay, so the relay was wired in wrong, the 110 volt relay. I think I told you to grab the wrong part. This is on me, this one's on me. That's my bad. So we're going to talk about it in reverse. This is our output lead. This is what comes from our tuners and our blocker and everything up top, and our tank coil up top. And so the RF travels from here to here out to the coax connector. The way the RF comes in is it comes in on this wire at 100 ohms, goes through this tab, through all the leads, comes up across this tab, goes across this shorting bar, and then it comes back around the back side of the relay and back out. So all this is done at 100 ohms. So to help compensate for that bump, we've added a 35 picofarad capacitor here, basically to ground. This grid is grounded directly to chassis ground, right here. It's also where we're going to terminate our coax, ground. So we're clipping on a little bit of ground here at the grid ring, or not on the grid ring, on the grid terminal, and we're going to take it over here to pass through. So when the relay activates, this is our input circuit here. This wire comes over and it attaches here to this lead. Right there. This wire in turn couples to the smaller piece of mag wire that zips right up and through, comes over and it attaches to the center tap of the filament. So we'll have like a 10 or 11 volt filament, right? And we're grabbing it in center tap. There's this disc capacitor that couples back to the black wire. So what happens is when the thing is in standby mode, we're taking the input network through this disc capacitor back to the center tap of the transformer, and we're getting shunted. If we were going to change the input tune, we would do it at this capacitor right here. So we're utilizing both the tabs of the 3-pole relay. The RF comes in, goes across this shorting bar over here on the relay, and comes back out over on this brown wire. Then it gets through the power of coupling, couples to the mag wire that is coupled to the filament, which direct feeds it to the filament, otherwise our input of the tube, cathode side. When we're not on the key, it closes the loop and it shunts the whole circuit back through this cap, and it closes the cycle. And that should keep us from oscillating. So that means the input and output powers should not and shall not and will not cross. Okay, so let's hook up the antenna and let's hook up the transmit side, and we'll plug it in and we'll see if we can get the relay to work. It's exactly how I received the tubes. I guess this is a little browning that's all taken apart. I guess I'll figure that out last. Whoa. That doesn't sound so hot. Man. I hope that tube's not effed off just because it wasn't packaged very well. Let's see what we got here. This thing sounds like a baby rattle. Oh, well. That's horrible. That's just horrible. That's just horrible. So I feel horrible that the tubes got broken somehow in shipping, but let's put a couple of my tubes in here. It looks like I've only got one tube lighting up. Now let's save ourselves from having a high voltage just kick on, because now I don't have to worry about bleeding nothing off. That's a brand new tube. That's a brand new tube. So I remember him saying that he was having a problem with this exact same scenario. Let me grab a screwdriver. That only one tube was kicking on. Before I go and I stick my fingers in here. Let's grab the top of this one. Now, let's flip these around. Let's see what happens now. Oh, now I got both filaments lighting up. Okay, so that tells me that there is a problem with the tube socket. Let's set these down very carefully. And yeah, hold on a second. Now we don't want to use like a stainless steel brush. This is a brass, or pardon me, copper cleaning brush for, like, let's say a 223. Real hard bristles. And every once in a while, these two little pins here, because they're the only ones that count for the filament, they get a little coated on them, right? They get a little. Gotta remember, good old 60s, 70s tech here, right? Let's give these a quick little run through with the brush. And then, man, it sure sucks about his tubes. Horrible. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Well, not that light of punishment anyhow. I got some people out there that I really wouldn't mind seeing burning in hell. But the downside to that is I'd probably be right there with them, so okay. Okay, we got good filament light. Ground. Let me grab a flat blade. This is a good working amp, except for the relay burned up. And only one tube would light. My pube hairs are too short. I remember hearing that. Well, not the pube hairs bit, but you know what I mean. We're going to run this, but not for very long, because we don't have very good airflow on anything at the moment. Had an interesting comment today from a gentleman that's from Russia. He was commenting on that 100,000 E-tube build. And, you know, I think his statement has some interesting, valid points to it. So, hello from Russia. I input tunes to pourable. How if I'm only putting out one? It's the input SWR is a mess. Hello. I'm putting 1 watt in and getting 1 watt out. Hello. Hello. Tell you right now, the reason we're having these kind of wonderful shenanigans go on is because I was swore in here someplace was supposed to be a driver tube, but that's neither here nor there. It's the input. There is no input tuning network. Just saying. I've never played with the band knob. Yeah, it doesn't do nothing. Boy, bud, if you ever got this to do anything, I bet you had to drive the holy poop out of this box. Okay. Let's go to the bottom side. We're going to create a couple things, and we're going to add a couple things to your amp to make it actually work. Let's cool the tubes off. So you remember how it was a wire in the input network? How I had one wire going to ground? Changed all that. Just simply removed a bar, moved one wire, and moved another over. Check this out. So let me take the relay control. We're in 1,000 watt peak, by the way, in that far right hand meter. This one here, 1,000 watt peak, 1,000 an average, right? So here's radio drive at 1, 2, 1, 2. About 200 watts worth of drive, right? Let me engage the relay off the scale. Check out the meter on the front. Typical Black Cat meter. I mean, it's accurate. It's over here about 1900 watts. It's accurate, but I'm still bummed out about the guy's tubes. Reach in there, I'll flip that up to 2x. So now we're doing 2x. So full deflection on the meter. When the needle goes all the way over here to the corner right there, is 2000 watts, right? Oh. 19 and some change, 1950. We'll look at it straight on here, you'll see what I'm talking about. 18. 1900 watts. Well, some bitch runs good for what it is. So let's see here. IP, which I'm assuming EP. Here's power supply volts, just a hair over 2000. Right at 2000 volts. About 500, 600 mils. That's what we're expecting. And the input tune is not that bad. Let's go up here. Look at the 495 watt slug in reverse. Watt and a half, watt and 3/4 maybe. Is this working? There's so much stuff I want to change on this thing for this guy, but for what it is, the thing works great. Sucks about his tubes though. It really does. Okay, so relay control. All the way here to the right, bypasses, makes the relay deaf, dumb, and blind. All the way over here to the left makes it slowly latch. It's like it's permanently stuck in SSB mode or something, but we'll make it latch at 1 watt. Excuse me. This thing shits and gets with it. 200 watts drive, 1900 out, roughly 10 to 1. That's what we're looking for. Okay, let's let this shut off, and we're going to let the tubes cool off. I'll turn it up on the side, and I'll show you what I changed on the wiring of the relay. I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, you know, I wonder what happened if I add one wire here, remove another wire there, bam, Bob's your uncle. So what I changed is I moved the brown wire that goes over here and feeds the center tap per se, and I made it so that the RF that comes in goes directly down this wire and goes through this disc capacitor. We've got to have some kind of isolation on the voltage that's present on the tubes. And then I took the brown wire and I made it so that when the relay's engaged, it grounds through this little tiny bus back to the ground, to that brown wire. That wasn't in there with the other relays. I don't know, but I got to thinking about it. I'm like, man, I don't need to put a tune network on this. All I got to do is change so it's got a ground reference, and it's switched. So I moved one thing to the next and the other thing over, and I got rid of the bar that went between the two tabs. As you guys can see, the bar between the two tabs is gone. I just changed that around and it took off. The input SWR dropped, the output power come way up. So that's fixed. Now what I want to do is I want to jump over and I want to look at the little 2-pill browning that he sent up. At least that's what he said it was a 2-pill browning. I could be wrong. This thing's all in pieces. And I gave him a lot of a hard time when he first called me. Well, not when he first called me, but the next 7 times he called me. And he actually did follow his instructions. There's notes on everything here. Okay, it's got 2 stud mount transistors on it. Little studs. What is it, Browning? Well, SL1000. Illegal for broadcast or for Class D CBUs. Void if warranty is open. Amateur band linear amplifier. Purpose 10 meters through 80 meters. Look at that little thing. That thing's cute. I gotta tell you, bud, if the studs are popped on this, these 2 transistors, if they're done, I don't have any of those. And I don't know what to tell you. So, here, let's move this away from the body of the faceplate. Let me just clip on these and see if the transistors are doing anything. Give me a second to get set up here. Okay, let me just explain. This is not like most stud mount transistor amps. Like the Hookers and the Trucker 150s and shit. There are no traces to solder to. There's no place to drill holes out. They soldered the parts on the board, and what's holding the whole board up is the mechanical connection of the studs on the bottom of the cabinet. So, unless we can find some CTC 2714 or 12As, 60 watt transistor or 50 watt transistors, I think this amp is pretty much done. What we're looking for is hello 1 2 audio. So the relay's off. Sorry about that. The relay's off. Hello 1 2. So we can talk through the amp. Sure enough. Carefully turn on the amplifier. Okay. We got relay action. Hello 1 2 1 2 1 2. What we see heating up here is the 10 ohm resistor that's here, or the 15 ohm resistor that's here, and the other side's heating up as well. Hello 1 2. But we don't see any light from the transistors, no heat. So it tells me that both the transistors in this thing are popped. It wouldn't surprise me any if at any point or some point in the life of this little guy got hooked up backwards. I don't know. All I can tell you is both the transistors are open. I don't have any stud mount transistors at all. Zero. Nada. Nada de nada. But what I do have around here someplace, I think I've got a Palomar here. A little TX100. This is was gifted to me as a donation, and I feel so bad about your tubes, dude, that I'm gonna put some new power wires in this Palomar, and I'm gonna send it along to you to kind of offset the pain. And it just sucks, man. It just sucks. So it's the middle of the night. It's like 11:30 at night. You're already in bed. I tried to call you here a little bit ago, bro. We'll just wait till in the morning. So we'll wrap this thing up first thing tomorrow morning after I can get a hold of you on the phone, and we can talk about this tragedy here. These are some old RF parts tubes that were probably sold to RF Parts by Penna, by the way. Here's the other problem that you had. You see this little burble of shit? The solder has dropped out of this pin, and it is not making contact. that would cause that tube not to work. And see, this one's not far from it. This one's been really hot as well. Really hot. Still, that sucks. Okay, well, till in the morning, gentlemen, I shall return. So, I got the jb2000 all put back together. I built you a new foot, so I went and I bought you a new piece of rubber and shaved it down so it's the same height as this one, so you can set it down and it not be all wimbly bimbly on you. I talked with him on the phone today. I said, dude, I feel so bad. Your tubes got all whacked off. And I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you this little Palomar, just kind of like as a gift, right, to offset the shame of your tubes. He says to me, he goes, well, I want you to return the tubes because I'm going to do an insurance claim on them. I'm like, okay. And then the next thing he says is, well, does the amp work? I'm like, well, yeah. He goes, cool, I'm going to sell it. I said, well, I could sell it. And he goes, well, no, I'm going to sell it to offset the cost of these tubes I got to buy now. I was like, okay. This is what it is. I said, man, a lot of people would be excited they're getting a free amp from BBI, just, you know, because he feels bad for you because you didn't package stuff here. Anyhow, I'm going to send this along. I think we're done. This thing's fully tested and ready to rock and roll. That thing is, I can't do anything with it. So now I'm going to repack those tubes the same way I got them. Hopefully they make it. I pray they make it. And I guess I'll send this along too. I'll throw it in the box with the jb2000. Well, gentlemen, on that note, I'm going to say I appreciate every single one of you guys. Thanks for watching. And this is the last big amplifier that I got to go through. It's sitting up here. Oh no, I got a Kenwood 922A. I'm still waiting on the band selector for, so that'll be coming soon. Just fun stuff. I'm going to sit down now tonight and I'm going to start on a 10 pill for a guy that's been waiting for a while for this thing, a 10 pill bass. That's its own bag of drama. I'll explain that to you here in a next video or two. Gentlemen, my name is BBI, and without a shadow of a doubt, I am the biggest mud duck here in Idaho. Come check us out, bbiamps.com, on Facebook, BBI Amps, Patreon, BBI Amps. This entire video has been brought to you ad-free because of the support of the Patreon people here. Now hold on to your underwear, because here comes the list of all the supporters. Gentlemen, I thank you. I appreciate every single one of you guys. I'll see you. Click, click.